My name's Amber Parsons. I homeschool my children.
Yep.
And I want to, well, I also run a ceramic business, but I want to go into mental health and create an art therapy program.
Great. Here's what I love about you. Could you tell as she was sharing that with us that you were unsure about that?
Yeah. I'm really sure about what I want to do.
Yeah.
But it's like putting the words together to tell other people it.
What is the block?
I don't know exactly. Actually, the block for me getting there, I think, is I'm afraid, like, I just found out I have ADHD this year.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, but it's really relieving to find out that you have it.
Anybody else been diagnosed? Great, I'll speak about this in a minute. Okay, go ahead.
But my habits of my ADHD brain totally stop me sometimes.
Okay.
Get right in my way.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I think it's something deeper.
It's probably something deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's probably some mix, and I'm only saying this because you are homeschooling, so you're very dedicated to your kids and nurturing them, that there's probably some mix of it would be selfish or something, it would impact them negatively.
I want to do it I don't want to give up homeschooling.
Okay.
I think
nobody said you had to.
Right, exactly. But it's like trying to figure out, well, maybe convincing other people that I could do that.
Why do you have to convince anybody else?
I don't.
So how many of you are relating to this right now? That as everybody's kind of sharing what they're wanting and what they're struggling with, you see yourself. There's only one person that needs to feel inspired and convinced, and it's you. And you could take 11 years to do this because you could find a certification online. My husband got an MBA in 7 years. He went to one class a semester when we had young kids. And because that's all we could afford. And that's all we had time for with both of us working and having young kids. There's a million paths to getting what you want. You just have to find the confidence to be able to start and to say, this is what I'm doing. Doesn't matter if it takes a year, 10 years, 20 years, this is what I'm doing. And I'll tell you another reason to do it. Your kids learn by your example, not by your words. And so if you want your daughters and your sons or your kids that identify in any range of the spectrum to pursue their dreams and be themselves, you have to show them what that looks like. And so if mom is taking a Thursday night to go to an online course, you are demonstrating what it looks like to prioritize time for your dreams. You're demonstrating what it looks like to have values that align with your actions. And that will seep into the pores of your children. And so you're the only person that needs convincing.
Yeah.
Is there another layer to this that you see?
My husband probably wouldn't be on board with it.
Wouldn't?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because he's already successful.
So?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you asked him?
Yeah.
And what did he say?
No.
Why? Why?
Because how would I homeschool the kids?
Well, you will show him how you're going to do it.
I do. I actually secretly under the table already look at it deeply, and that's how I know I'm gonna do it.
Right?
But yeah, just like do it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think that's important, but I think the bigger issue is why should you be supporting his dreams if he's not supporting yours?
That's true. Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
No,
I'm serious. You clearly have something that would make you come alive. Mm-hmm. He has a fear.
Yeah, not having control of all the things.
Maybe. Maybe he has a fear of losing you. Maybe he has a fear that the way that things are working, it's all going to fall apart. Mm-hmm. Maybe he thinks like everything has to happen like this, so he doesn't understand you're talking one class for 5 years on a Thursday night. But at some point, this also requires you to own your own happiness, because he's not responsible for it, you are. He's not responsible for your dreams, you are. and he's not responsible for getting on board with this, you're the one that needs to create the permission and then enroll people around you.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to choose, by the way.
That's true.
I'm serious.
I know that deep down inside.
Right?
Yeah.
So my concern is this, that when we don't have these conversations about the bigger issues of fear and control and my dreams, and that there's a way to do both, we end up doing things that feel sneaky and undermine trust. And so it's important that where you see that you can't be your authentic self, you start to have those conversations, because I want you to grow in your relationship. And there's a way for you to do that, even with somebody who's scared of you growing. But you have to be the one that leads the way. Okay?
All right.
I know it scares the hell out of you. Let me have this. Great job, by the way. I've been saying it a lot, that every single day when you wake up, you can decide who you're going to be. And the reason why it's so important to wake up and either consciously choose, decide, or set an intention about who you're going to be. The reason why this is so important to start doing every single morning is because if you don't consciously decide who you're going to be, your habits, your old patterns, and the stress of the day will decide it for you. You see, human beings, this was so liberating when I learned that human beings are nothing more than a ton of patterns. We learn patterns from other people, and then we repeat those patterns. And so if you find that you're stuck in a rut, or you're overwhelmed, or you're in a negative place, and you are really tired of being there, the first step to getting the life that you want is you must wake up every morning and interrupt the patterns and the automatic nature of how you go through your day, just going through the motions. And the simplest way to do that is to wake up and set an intention. So when I say decide who you're going to be, what I'm talking about is, what mood are you going to be in? How are you going to behave? What are you going to show up and do today? Are you going to be motivated? Are you going to be patient? Are you going to be present? Are you going to be grateful? Those are decisions that you can make. And when you wake up in the morning and you set an intention, today I am going to see the good. Today I am going to be optimistic. Today I'm going to turn off the television when I get home. I'm going to spend an hour on my dreams. When you wake up and set an intention and you decide who you're going to be today and how you're going to show up and what it's going to feel like to be you, you take control of the day. And you give yourself an anchor to keep coming back to, so that when something stresses you out, or you catch yourself thinking negative things, or you get a text, or somebody doesn't respond to you and you start to feel discouraged, come back to your intention. Today I said I would be optimistic. Today I said I would see the good. Today I said no matter how tired I am, when I get home tonight, I'm going to find an hour for me. That's what I mean, Night Queen Bee, when I say decide who you're gonna be today. And that's why I think it's so powerful when you wrap your mind around the fact that every single day you get to wake up and decide who you're going to be today. And it's the first step in taking control and creating the life you want. When your life blows up and you find yourself in the ocean with like pieces of the boat all around, look for a fucking life preserver or a raft, okay? So I want to applaud you for doing what needed to be done when the you-know-what hit the fan. That same instinct is what is going to make you successful. The second thing that I want to tell you is, once you get a hold of that life raft, you want to grab something else that floats, right? And get yourself out of that water. And so I am glad to hear that you're looking for a job. Yeah. And what I would recommend is I would recommend not pretending about the situation that you're in. There is no shame in going to a job interview and at the end of it saying, and I'm asking you for this job, And the reason why I'm asking you for this job is not only because I am going to be incredible at it and you're never going to regret it, but I actually need it. I'm in a really tight jam. I had a life crisis happen. I never thought at the age of 55 I'd be in this situation, and I need the work and I want the work, which means I'm going to show up here every single day and I am going to work the heck out of this job. I've never wanted a job more than I want a job right now. And you should tell your friends that this is what you're going through and that you need help and that you need a recommendation or you need a place to stay. And you should not do what I did, which was hide what was going on because I was so ashamed. And, I'm also going to tell you, it will take time. 5 years ago, I still had the liens on this house. 5 years ago, guys. And so it will take time for you to climb out of this, but you will climb out of this. When you're in a shitstorm and when the lights go out in your life and things feel really dark and really heavy, there has always been one thing that helps me get through those moments. And it's reminding myself that this moment, like every painful moment of my life, was temporary. It passed. And when you can keep telling yourself this moment it's going to pass and it's leading me somewhere, when you can trust in that, you create your own light in that dark tunnel. And it allows you to look up. And one of the things about learning something new, like how to make money online, is that it acts like a beacon for where you're freaking going.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the power boat that gets you there right now.
I know.
Because you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you need to find another freaking life jacket, which means you need to get a job. Which
I
means
know.
you need to just keep going on these interviews. And there's no need, if you've gone on all these interviews and people are like, you're amazing. And then you don't get it. And you think it's because you're too old or you're too desperate. They say you're a consultant.
Right.
There's no shame in writing back and saying, I'm not sure if you filled the position, but I didn't mention that I actually need a job.
Right.
My pride got in the way. And so if you haven't filled that position, or maybe you, are looking for more people, I want to make sure I'm not looking to be a consultant. I've never wanted to find a great job more than ever than this moment. There's no shame in that. What's the worst they're going to say? Yeah, we filled the job.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've been really even just struggling to even get interviews too. And it's just a funny thing, and it's like, I did have a really great.
What did you do before?
Well, I have I was sort of a rock star visual researcher with directors, back in the day. And I took an odyssey out of that when I had my kid and went to Europe, and I had a company doing that. And recently hooked up with my old team through B School. We're starting a Pinterest collective. So I'm reactivating this whole visual research space.
Great. Let me tell you what you could do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Project management.
I don't know, girl. I'm like the worst project manager.
Bullshit. You can't manage your own life. You can manage somebody else's project.
Maybe.
1,000%. 1,000%. Do not look for a job in what you used to do.
Okay.
Look for a job managing projects in any kind of company, because you just need structure and a place to go every day and a paycheck. That's like the rows on the boat rowing you ahead.
Yeah.
And you're scrappy enough, I can tell, that you'll get annoyed with that job. And then you'll start hustling even more than you are. And you'll giddy up in the other things. But you need the structure. You need to get out of the house. You need a simple paycheck. You need to do that routine for a couple months. I am telling you, it is the best job market in 4 years. I don't give a shit how old you are.
No, I love hearing that. And I get so frustrated by that because it's like
you're looking for the wrong kind of job. You're trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. I mean,
you have skills. Stop looking at industries. You have skills. You can manage things. The woman that I just hired, who's going to come on board as my executive assistant, like organize Mel, she was a graphic designer. She worked in a branding agency. She had a dog walking. She's never been an executive assistant. Why? Right. Because I just need somebody who can organize shit who's an adult that I trust is not going to steal from me. That's what I need. And who can boss me around.
Right. Yeah, I do. I understand it. I do think I do have the adult quality, and
of course,
I definitely, like, I'm a pro. I mean, I honestly though, Mel, like, I would ruin your flights. Like, I'm the worst. I'm not a project administrative.
Then don't take that kind of job. You're not hearing me. You have skills that you can market. Do not look for a visual organizer, needle in the haystack job. Forget that. Get your skills at the top of your resume. LinkedIn has an entire learning platform, and there is so much on there about marketing skills. That's what people are hiring right now. It's not about the industry.
Yeah, I do see that. Like, I have like 8 recruiters working for me that can't place me because it's like, I'm an email marketer. Everything is like one skill kind of, like parsed out. And like,
trust me, look for project management, account services, anything, honestly.
Okay.
That's just what you need. You need something. At this point, don't be picky. Just
I'm not picky.
a job.
I just feel like I don't get any traction with it. It's weird. Like, it's just a weird, I'm not.
Okay. So let me tell you something else. You ready?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you don't like the advice, which means it's exactly what you need to do.
I don't know. I'm open to doing anything, but I just wish I was good at that. I've worked with project managers and I value them.
Well, then don't be a project manager. You're missing the point.
Okay.
If you're working with recruiters, they're not going to place you in a job that's general.
Right.
80% of jobs are not even marketed. They are filled by referral.
Right.
You need to be talking to your friends. You need to be looking at the job boards on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you need to be lowering your standards because you are in a lifeboat right now.
Right.
That's what you need to do.
Okay.
And as you lower your standards on the job front, and as you start rowing in a direction, because you now have a paycheck, you're able to get out of your ex-husband's apartment every day. I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest about where you're at. And you have a rhythm to your week. That structure from that job is going to give you what you need to get going in a different direction.
Yeah.
You can't organize your thoughts because you're all over the place because you're in an emergency. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I want to tell you is you are capable of figuring this out. And you will get a job. And you will launch a new business. And you will make these things happen. And you will look back on this moment. And you will see exactly why this happened and how it helped you get somewhere awesome.
I believe that.
Excellent. Then
I totally believe that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks, Mel.
You're welcome. Being tough because I want to see you pull yourself up out of this. I want to try to summarize the steps to make sure that it's very clear, not only for me, forget about you guys. I want to make sure it's clear for me that first of all, it would be really smart of me to write down a long list of what I want in this next chapter of my life for real and the why. And you explained that in the example around legacy. So if what I'm really after is more peace, a hell of a lot more fun, and a greater impact with more ease, I need to unpack what does that actually mean.
Yes.
and get very clear about the why. And I know that the why has to do with more time with family, more time with friends, more time and space to do bigger thinking instead of racing around being busy.
Yeah.
The second thing that I got out of this is very like radical. And that is when the fear or the anxiety or the worry or the self-doubt, that little, like, we're going to talk about the negative bitch first before we talk about the whisper. The negative bitch in your head is just your ego trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And so when that anxiety comes up, or I wake up and I feel like that hot lava on my neck and my thoughts start to swirl, don't try to outrun it. Face the bitch and be like, all right, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, you think I'm gonna be lonely on a mountain because I'm lonely in suburbia? You think I'm not gonna have any friends there because I don't have friends here? Okay, you think I'm not gonna be successful doing it there because I'm not, like, oh, okay. And hear it. And then the way that you take the bitch and you flip her into your best friend is you say, what is this trying to warn me? What is this trying to coach me? What are the things that it's saying? Hey, if you're gonna go do this, just know that you might feel lonely and that's okay. So what are you going to do about it? If you're going to go do this, just know that you should probably, reach out to friends that are doing podcasts from remote places. If you're going to do this, so that you know what steps to take. And it's in taking the steps forward to prepare for plan B.
Yeah.
So that you got a plan for when that stuff happens, that is going to allow you to access the radical confidence, which feels radical, in a moment where you're doubting yourself. And you just keep pushing forward, and you do it over and over and over and over and over again. Because what's interesting is you also said this thing about the whisper, that the things that are meant for you and the things that are true begin as a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really start to hear the whisper, whether it's, I'm going to sign up for this program, even though it scares me, or I'm going to not have kids and sit down with my spouse, even though it scares me, or I'm going to, make a major life change and it scares me. As you start to hear the whisper, I think there's a pretty close period of time where that whisper turns into a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because she's like, hang on a minute, you're freaking ignoring me. Let me get my megaphone so that you don't.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
And then that last piece is making sure that you understand your belief, why you feel the way you do actually, Mel, because you even said your parents never moved out of the house that you were born in, correct? Your grandparents never did. So you have it seems like a belief system that holding on to the house that maybe your kids were brought up in is something, and I don't want to speak for you, but maybe something you feel like you should do. Or maybe feel like it's something that you saw your parents do, and now you're actually breaking that pattern. And for me, it was the same. My grandparents, my mom, everyone ended up like basically thinking that I would be this stay-at-home wife, or I would be a mother. And in order for me to listen to the silence and break that, I had to say, oh, it's because I believed that this was what was going to happen. I never questioned it. So I don't know if you've ever questioned whether the house that you're in, whether it should be something that you should be in for the rest of your life, or if it was just a belief system you hold on to.
It's just a belief system I hold on to. Like, I know, just like you knew, at some point that whisper became the truth for you.
Right.
I know that it's the truth. And everybody that knows me well is literally like, I thought you would have sold that house like years ago, because like with the amount of stuff you're doing and like, it just doesn't make sense for you to live there. And so like somebody else saw it in you. First.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. And now
because when I talked to you, and I saw other friends of ours last week because they were visiting Boston, and I was sort of going like in the beginning of the freaking Crest downfall, and it was Joel, Marin, and Kat, and Kat looks at me and she's like, wait, are we really having this conversation? You're like worried about like some place in Vermont, whether you're going to live in an apartment, whether you're going to feel like you're Mel fucking Robbins. What the fuck? Like, and I'm like, you're right. I know how to do that. Why am I? Because I'm human. and because your ego comes in, and because if you keep running, this shit will catch up with you, which is why radical confidence is really about turning and facing it.
Yeah.
Instead of being afraid of it.
And then knowing that the path you choose to take in life will mean that you leave things behind. And that's where the mourning piece comes in. It's like, just because you're making a decision that's right for you shouldn't mean that you shouldn't embrace that you have to mourn the life that you're leaving behind, or the life you thought you were going to live. So maybe, Mel, for when you had your kids, and I, again, don't know, but maybe you're just like, this is the house that I'm going to bring them up in. And you've told yourself year after year after year that that's going to be the house. But now you've changed. Now your goals have changed. Now your life has changed. And now your reassessment of that isn't the same with a person who maybe first had those children.
Oh, I know what it is. You're giving me another breakthrough. Dude, I need to pay you for this.
Oh, I'm here for you. You're my bestie. You know that.
I literally feel like you just saved me. No offense to SSRIs, but I'm feeling like I'm like Beck. I'm feeling like the woman that crawled out of the crypt this morning, and my team had to like prop up and be like, oh God, Mel is not Mel today. That you have brought me back, woman. If you ever find yourself feeling stuck when you're manifesting, feeling like you can't visualize the steps that lead you to what you want, is an extraordinarily common obstacle when you're manifesting. Because remember, manifesting is the practice of preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work to achieve the things that you want. And as you probably know, manifesting has 4 different parts to it. First of all, you got to give yourself permission to really have what you want, okay? Because you got to have the thing that you're visualizing be something that is authentically something that you want. Number 2, you must see yourself taking the steps, the tiny actions, and doing the work that will lead you to creating or having what you want. Third, you got to feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. And you also have to feel pride as you see yourself doing the work, because that amplifies your mind, body, and spirit really imprinting and training and preparing for it. And fourth, obviously, you got to take the actions. And all of that manifesting and preparing inspires you to take the actions. But one place where so many folks get stuck when they start trying to make manifesting a daily habit is you go and you know what you want, but then you sit down and you try to imagine what the steps are that you need to take to get there, and you don't have a clue. Your mind goes blank. If this is you, I'm so excited that you're watching this, because the simple trick based in science is called the power of objectivity. All you got to do is stop visualizing yourself and insert your friend Mel Robbins, or insert somebody else that you love and admire. And the power of objectivity is going to immediately switch you from a blocked mind to one that is bolder and more creative and able to visualize the steps. Now, I'm not just making this up. There's extraordinary research that was just written about in the Harvard Business School Review. They did 8 different studies at the University of Wisconsin where they were studying the power of objectivity. And with thousands of participants, here's what they found. When participants tried to visualize themselves doing hard things, immediately, the participants, when they thought about themselves doing something hard, like let's just say asking for a raise, okay? I want you to imagine yourself asking for a raise or applying for that dream job. When you visualize yourself doing it, you immediately focus in on minutia. You start imagining all kinds of things that could go wrong. You start arguing against yourself, and doubt comes flooding in. You have a very cautious mindset when you place yourself in those scenarios. However, if you were to visualize me, Mel Robbins, asking for that raise, immediately your mindset switches to being very bold, being creative, seeing all kinds of opportunities. And in fact, when you not only visualize me, your friend Mel Robbins, asking for that raise that you want, when you give me advice, you're super enthusiastic. You're like, Mel, you should go for it. And I bet in your life, you have probably told friends or loved ones, you should ask for more money. And you mean it because you're visualizing them. But you yourself won't visualize yourself doing that. You talk yourself out of it. We've all had this experience. You yourself are probably sitting there going, you're right, Mel. I constantly tell my friends, you deserve more. You should break up with that jerk. You should go for it. But when it comes to yourself, you see the excuses in doubt. So I want you to leverage not only this common sense, but this research to your advantage when it comes to manifesting. Pick what you want. And then if your mind goes blank when it comes to seeing yourself do the work, literally just insert your friend Mel Robbins or insert anybody that you love. In fact, I got a story about this. Years and years ago, this would have been, 20 years ago. At the time, I was a life coach and I had a really small little practice here in Boston. And I went to a seminar that Oprah Winfrey had here at the Boston Convention Center. It was part of her Live Your Best Life tour. And I went to the seminar because I thought, well, this would be a great place to land life coaching clients, right? You got thousands of women at the convention center who all want to improve your life. So I can go and I can network, and who knows, I might meet some amazing women and meet some amazing business partners and land some clients. So I'm sitting in the audience and, the DJ starts playing the music and everybody gets out of their chairs and we all start dancing around with our name tags on. And then all of a sudden the DJ dies down the music and we all settle down and this woman walks onto stage. Now, I didn't recognize this woman. I didn't have my program in my hand, so I had no idea who it was. I had never seen her before. I had never heard her before. When they announced her name, not a clue. All I knew was when she started talking, something inside me was like, zzz, energetically, something shifted. I bet you've had those moments where you're like, boom, you know that something is meant for you. You just feel pulled toward it. Like you can have this experience with a piece of clothing, with a house, with a puppy, with a person, with an experience, with a place. Well, this woman walks on stage and I had this energetic shift that was like, and I immediately felt my body go, you need to be doing that. But what I saw was she's on a stage. She's clearly an author. She's making people laugh. She's inspiring. Oh my gosh, she's a life coach? Well, this person I'm talking about is none other than Martha Beck. I didn't know her at the time, but she's an international best-selling author. She writes for O Magazine. She was clearly speaking on a stage. And guess what? She was Oprah's designated life coach. And so I have this energetic shift where I'm like, I want to be doing that. I want to go from just coaching individual clients to having an impact on a much bigger scale. Now, keep in mind, at the time, I have only been coaching people for 2 or 3 years. I've never given a speech. I had never written an article in a magazine. I didn't have a book. I didn't know how to do any of those things. But I went home from that seminar and I sat down and I cracked open my journal and I'm like, I want to speak on stages. I want to write things for magazines. I want to write a book. I want to impact millions of people. I want to do what Martha Beck is doing. I didn't know how to do any of it. And so I developed this simple tool. Now, little did I know, I was just instinctively leveraging the power of objectivity. Since I didn't know what to do, and I also didn't know who to ask, because 20 years ago, I didn't know a single person that had published a book. I didn't know anybody that wrote for magazines. I didn't know anybody that spoke on stages for a living, and I certainly didn't know anybody that knew Oprah. So I didn't even have anybody that I could ask. There weren't as many articles online, so it's not like I could blog. YouTube was not really a thing, so it's not like I could watch videos. I mean, you know how lucky you are to be able to research all this stuff? I was just me, Mel Robbins, with a handful of clients here in Boston, now inspired to do what Martha Beck's doing, with no clue how to go from here to there. I didn't know the steps. So I came up with this little tool. It's so funny when I think about it now. Do you want to know what the tool was? What would Martha Beck do? That was it. What would Martha Beck do? Because I figured Mel Robbins had never done any of those things, but Martha Beck had. So in any moment where I didn't know what I should do, I just figured I would ask myself, well, what would Martha Beck do? And I kind of thought that maybe if I acted like she acted, maybe I would eventually start to steer my life in the direction that her life was headed in terms of writing books and standing on stages 20 years ago. So I was leveraging the power of objectivity. So this is what happened. A couple weeks go by and nothing miraculous happens in my life. And I get an email and I'm up late and I'm working on something and this email comes in. And the email is from a friend of mine who works in New York. Hadn't seen her in a while, but she knew that I was a life coach. And I noticed that she was forwarding a PR request from Inc. magazine. And Kate wrote to me, "Hey Mel, not sure if you're still life coaching, but see below. Someone is writing an article about life coaching for Inc. magazine. Thought you may be interested in applying." So I scroll down and I immediately start to read the email. Now there were a couple things that jumped out immediately, right? Number one, the PR request was over a month old. Number two, the deadline had already passed for submissions to be featured in the article. Number three, I had none of the credentials that they were looking for life coaches. Number four, I had none of the types of clients that they were looking for. Now, thinking about it from Mel Robbins' point of view, my mind got very cautious and I started to focus on all the minutia. I'm too late. I'm not qualified. I've missed the deadline. They're never going to pick me. Self-doubt started to creep in. Just like it's happening for you when you manifest right now. Your mind is going blank. You're full of doubt, which is why you can't see the steps. I, in that moment, asked myself, well, I know what Mel Robbins would do. Mel Robbins would hit delete and go on with her evening. But what would Martha Beck do? The second I leveraged the power of objectivity and I imagined her in the situation that I was in, my mind got more creative, it got bolder, it got more energized, I saw possibility. I literally said to myself, well, what have I got to lose? Martha Beck would probably just respond. And so I did. I just freeformed the thing and wrote this long email, and then hit send. Do you know the very next morning, the person that had sent the inquiry out wrote me back and said, I've already finished the article. I was about to submit it, but I was so taken with your email that I'd love to come up to Boston and follow you around for a day and include you in the article. And it was that article, which published about 5 months later, that caught the attention of a bunch of people in the media business in New York. And that's what caused this major pivot that happened in my career. Honest to God, it was the power of objectivity and simply asking myself, what would Martha Beck do? So, super common to feel super stuck when you know what you want, but you can't visualize yourself taking those steps because you're thinking cautious. Your self-doubt is consuming you. You are insecure in your ability to actually do those things, so you can't even embrace the visualization of yourself doing it. Simple. Insert someone else. And you can always pick your friend Mel Robbins. Let's just say that you are really inspired to get into home renovations and buying and flipping houses. And let's just say you've always dreamt of doing this and you watch the home improvement networks like it's your job and you just love everything about real estate and flipping houses, but you've never done it. And so when you go to visualize it, you don't even know where to start. Just insert Mel Robbins. What would Mel Robbins do? I guarantee you the second you visualize me in there, you're going to be like, oh, well, Mel Robbins would start studying it. Mel Robbins would take a course on it. Mel Robbins would ask people about it. Mel Robbins would start going to open houses. Mel Robbins would take a class about it. Mel Robbins would talk to people who are doing it. You will immediately be able to see all of the things that I would do because your mind, when you leverage the power of objectivity, gets bold, gets creative, gets enthusiastic. Now what you're going to do is you see me doing the work, right? You're now going to insert yourself next to me. And you're going to see me going, oh, hey, I'm so glad you're here because I could use your help. I want you to take this class with me. And you know what we're going to do this weekend? You and I are going to go to open houses. And you know what we're going to do next weekend? You and I are going to sit down and watch YouTube tutorials on how you get started in this business. And you know what we're going to do the following weekend? You and I are going to read blogs about how you can get financing for doing this. And you know how we're going to do this weekend? And I will walk you step by step in your visualization in doing it. And you visualizing yourself next to me will jumpstart your mind into being bolder, more enthusiastic, more creative. And that, my friend, is the simple trick that you can use in order to leverage the power of objectivity to get unstuck and unblocked when you start manifesting and get yourself moving
toward your dreams.
Sure. Now, first of all, does anybody have any questions so far? Or anything? Yes, right there. I love you. I love you. Thank you. And by the way, let me say something. This is also an opportunity to practice the 5-second rule.
Yes.
If you're sitting there thinking about what you want to say, use the 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and put your hand in the air. It's a way to practice visibility, practice putting yourself out there. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, stand up so I can see you.
All right. Well, this has been very encouraging, so thank you.
What's your name?
My name's Jordan Lumen.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi. So my question is, based off of what you've discussed so far, you've been able to dive deep into who you are. How would you encourage others to become more introspective?
More, what did you, introspective?
Yeah.
In terms of self-awareness?
Yeah, I think in order to be successful as a leader, you have to be able to identify what your characters are. Or even, like you said, you were able to identify that you needed to get out of bed and you needed to do these other things, but it's easy to deflect at times.
Yeah.
Where you had to really look at who you were at that moment.
Yeah.
Become who you are now.
Yes. So tell me a little bit. Oh, stand back up. First of all, give her a round of applause, please. Yes. So tell me a little bit about the kind of person you want to be.
I would like to be a leader one day.
And what does that mean to you?
And like you said, influencing others, helping to mold someone because someone has molded me into being who I am.
I love that. I love that.
And just giving back, especially to like new hires, because it's stressful and it's overwhelming at times. Like I transitioned from the lab and it was a small community where I used to work, and coming to a large corporation and being amongst great people, it was scary and challenging, overwhelming, exciting. But I want to be able to take people under my wing one day and guide them in the right direction.
Okay, there's so much I love about you.
Oh, thank you.
How many of you can relate to any aspect of what she's saying? Terrific.
Oh, wow.
So I want to point out some things that you've done. How many people that are in leadership roles right now are like, oh, we can get you involved in mentoring people, right? Okay, so what you just did is really important. So Jordan, you just demonstrated one of the most important skills for career advancement, everybody. And it's something nobody talks about, particularly for women. And what I'm talking about is visibility. So the company is responsible for culture, for training, for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You are responsible for your own visibility. Visibility means, are your contributions known by the people you work for? And are your goals known by the people you work for? And based on all the research, there is only one behavior change that translates to a change in title or a salary increase, and that is increasing your visibility, which Jordan just did by standing up and asking a question that was both personal and by sharing what she sees for herself. Everybody in this room now knows what she wants, including leadership. And so thank you for helping me demonstrate what that looks like, because too many of you are working in secret. You should assume walking out of here, nobody knows what you're doing every day, because everybody's super overwhelmed. So they're unaware of the 47 things on your plate. They're unaware of the problems you're solving. And it's your job to figure out how to make things more visible. And one of the most important things is in meetings, don't ever leave a meeting without contributing something. It's a very visible setting, and too many people sit there and say nothing because you're afraid to look stupid. You just said what you'd like. I'd like to be a leader someday. And I personally love the field of research called behavioral activation therapy. Behavioral activation therapy is some big old word that means act like the person you want to become. Act like the person you want to become. That is very different than fake it till you make it. I am not going to tell you to fake being a leader. Because when you fake it till you make it, in saying that, you are amplifying your nervousness and your imposter syndrome. That is very different than being intentional and saying, I'm going to start showing up like a leader. Exactly what you said. You know, it's sort of like this claimed authority, because how you show up does influence people. And so in your mind, if you think about kind of, if you were to take out a piece of paper, this is the simplest way to do it. You take out a piece of paper, draw a line down the center, and just think about leaders that you admire. And think about what are some of the things, okay, you just pointed to somebody. Who?
My manager, Ty, and my director, Cheryl.
Okay, Cheryl and Ty, stand up. Woo! Awesome. So name 2 or 3 behaviors that those two do that you don't do right now.
Ooh, that's a good question.
All right, why don't you ask Ty and Cheryl for feedback right now? Can you give her feedback? Give her one behavior change.
On the spot.
Yeah, why not? Let's go. Can we give her a mic?
This is coaching, I guess, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm coachable.
Just one behavior change that you think would either raise her visibility or would have her be more of a leader.
I think being more confident in herself.
What does that
Her
mean
ability.
to you? How would you know if she were more confident?
I think that she would. Sorry, I'm nervous.
That's right. I got an idea. Okay, here we go. Let's turn on the lights. Let's turn on the lights.
So I think that she would just take the action instead of questioning herself.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And what's your first name again?
Ty?
Ty, excellent. And then what's your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl, what advice do you have for her?
I would give her opportunities to practice her leadership. And knowing now that that's something she wants to do, we can create that for her and allow her to get comfortable and confident in doing so, right? And work on her skill that she wants.
Such a good.
And support her along the way.
Excellent.
And she's already started, so she's leading projects to do exactly what she just said.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So why were you nervous?
I don't like attention.
You don't like?
Amazing. Does that come up a lot for you at work?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Then I won't put you on the spot. I'll be kind to you today. And Jordan, what do you think about this?
I would say she hits it right on the head. That was my 2022 goal for myself. So it's challenging, and you have to, like I said, dig deep into who you are. But I would agree that's something I need to work on, and it's hard, but I'll get there.
Yep. So for you, displaying more confidence is the skill for her to work on.
Yes.
Excellent. And for you, what was it?
Just supporting her in her ability to either fail also and know that you're going to learn from that, but that we're here to get you, help you support.
So do you see a hesitancy? Is she struggling with perfectionism?
She's very professional.
No, perfectionism.
Oh, perfection?
Perfection, trying to get it right, scared to make a mistake.
She's a perfectionist, I would think. She
Okay.
portrays that she wants that for herself, like to be the best at everything she puts her.
How many people can relate to this? You got to get it right before you get it done. Yep. This is a protection mechanism. Perfectionism is not a formula for success, everybody. Perfectionism just means you're afraid of getting it wrong. And so you think if you hold on to it and you get everything right, that's going to protect you from judgment. Mm-hmm. And so you two can sit down. Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. I want to continue to coach Jordan because she's going to come with me. Let's go up to the stage.
Oh my goodness.
Give her a round of applause.
All right.
Are you nervous?
Sorry, I am.
Okay, great. I love this. Okay.
I was an athlete, so
Okay.
I work best under pressure.
Okay, good. I love that. So 0 to 10, how nervous are you?
Oh, like a 9.
Oh, perfect.
10, maybe
Perfect.
a 12.
Perfect. Okay. How many of you are nervous for her? Yes, you feel
I'm
it?
sweating.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
glad
good.
I wore a dark color.
Okay, I'm sweating too. What else are you feeling?
I'm overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything in your stomach, your heart?
It's more in my eyes.
Okay. Your eyes are crying? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good. This is excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let's go on stage. Here we go. Yep. Everybody give her a round of applause. Come on, Jordan. Okay, you're just going to sit right over there.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now I want you to look at everybody.
Hi,
Just kind of
friends.
take them in, right? You're doing great.
Thank you.
0 to 10, how nervous are you now?
I see some familiar faces up here, so I'm feeling a little better.
Terrific.
Yeah,
Terrific.
I am.
Okay, great. So,
I had to count for the 5-second rule for a moment.
okay, so you use the 5-second rule to do
did.
what?
To calm myself down, overcome my emotions.
Terrific. So what you're witnessing is something really important. When you stay in your head and think and you let the wave come, it gets bigger. When you move, the fear starts to lower. Now, I'm going to also teach you something really cool that you're going to love as an athlete, okay? And this is really cool. It's a way that you can use the 5-second rule in performance anxiety situations, okay? And this has been backed by research at Harvard Medical School. It is the coolest thing. In moments like you just did, and you did it instinctually, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you felt the wave. All you're going to do, as dumb as this sounds, is you're going to go, I am so excited to be up here. I am so excited to be sitting in this chair. Go ahead and say it.
I'm very excited to be here, sitting in this chair, getting this opportunity.
Great. Say it again.
I'm very excited to be sitting here in this chair, getting this opportunity.
Do you feel your stress going down a little?
I do.
Let me tell you why, everybody. In your body, nervousness or stress is the exact same physiological sensation as excitement. Exact same. So what sport did you play?
I was a track runner.
Awesome.
She's a runner. She's a track star, you know.
She's a track star. Okay, see, now we're getting the swagger. Swagger's coming out. So before a race, when you're like stomachs and knots and you gotta go to the bathroom, your arms are pissed, that's both excitement and nerves.
Yes.
So the only difference between excitement and nerves is what your brain says. When you use this little trick that has now been validated by Harvard Medical School, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go, I'm so excited. I'm excited to make this call. I'm excited to do this conversation. I'm excited to do this thing. You take control of what your brain is saying about the moment, and it lowers your stress response to the heat of the moment. And so you can use that, and what they found in research is that when you do the I'm excited, you maintain control of this part of your brain, which means you're able to focus on performing. When they did this in control groups at Harvard Medical School, the people who were taught to say, I'm excited, ran faster in track meets, they performed better in negotiation competitions, and they scored higher on standardized exams because you maintain control of this part of your brain. When you allow your nerves to take over, you were saying it, my eyes are going all over the place, it's because you're flooding your brain with cortisol as your thoughts are like, when you go, I'm excited, your brain's like, oh, wait a minute, we don't have to freak out right now. You're doing dynamite.
My heart rate's down too.
Is it? Okay, well, I was like, I noticed her check her watch. I'm like, am I boring her? Like, she's gotten really cool
my
now.
heart
Okay.
rate, I tend to monitor that.
Okay, great.
It's gone
High
down.
five. That's freaking
You got a
awesome.
hand hug.
Okay, hand hug.
hug.
Oh, wait, is that way? Did I do a hand like this? Hand hug. Hand hug. I love a hand hug. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about confidence, because this goes for all of you. I love that we're talking about confidence because, again, we're in this lane of if you want to change, all you need to do is identify the kind of person you want to be and then start acting like that person now with deep intention. And my recommendation is always start with your morning routine because it sets up the rest of your day. And the second thing, you got feedback about confidence at work. I want to give everybody a new definition for confidence based on research, okay? Confidence, believe it or not, does not mean, and I'm going to use the word swagger, It doesn't mean walking in like you own the place. It doesn't mean that you even believe in yourself yet. Confidence simply means a willingness to try. A willingness to try. And the reason why this is such a critical definition, particularly for women, is because there's this thing called a confidence competency loop, which means when you try something, even if you fall flat on your face, you still learn something. You're gaining competence. And we know this is true. Like, you became a track star because of how many times you tried. Every time you tried, every time you ran, every time you trained, you were learning something. And the more competence that you gain in something, the easier it becomes. Your resistance to it lowers. And so again, like everything I'm teaching you, it starts with the action, not the belief. The belief comes later through the action. I mean, what are you thinking about yourself now that you're sitting here?
I could see myself being on a stage like this amongst a lot of people. The way I feel standing there asking my question versus how I feel now, speaking to a lot of people who may not have known who I was before I asked my question, I can actually speak to you guys without feeling as overwhelmed, which is nice.
How cool
and I
is
feel
that?
like I have a lot more confidence now just being up here.
And let me say where it started from. It started from a gut instinct, an impulse to take action, and within 5 seconds, you shot your arm in the air. And that created this tiny little ripple effect that leads you in an entirely new direction. And so the other thing that I want to teach you, because you had a question about self-awareness, and this is really important, everybody. There are 2 forms of self-awareness. There's awareness of self, and then there's an awareness of how you are perceived by others. And typically, we are only good at one of those things. And so awareness of self just comes from really spending time thinking about it, reading, asking people what they see about you. It comes from trying lots of new things and testing out what feels right, because you always have an opportunity to learn more about yourself. And like we've been talking about with sales too, it's about slowing down a little bit so that you can pay attention to what you're feeling. But the second self-awareness is actually the one that most of us are really bad at, and that's understanding how you're perceived by others. We're not aware of how other people think about us. And the only way that you are going to find out is if you ask. And so if you really want to grow, it's terrifying. Ask for feedback about how you can improve in these areas. Share with people. I really want to develop myself into a better leader. I am working on it in real time. What would you recommend in terms of how I come off? And ask for specific behaviors. For example, in meetings, what could I do differently that would communicate to everybody else that I am acting more like a leader, even though I'm not managing people? And if you can get specific behavior changes that cue that to other people, now you got a roadmap for things to practice. And then it comes back to confidence, the willingness to try. And then that takes us back to the 5-second rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is how you push yourself to try. And all those little moments that you try lead you in a brand new direction. You're awesome.
If you expect to achieve your goals, if you expect to reach your potential, if you expect to have your dreams come true, what I'm about to explain to you is mission critical. You must become a master at visualization. Now, for those of you that are like, what the heck is she talking about? I did not sign up for some sort of meditation, woo-woo spiritual thing here. Don't worry. This is Mel Robbins. There's always science and research involved in everything that I talk about. So visualization is an extraordinarily powerful skill. And you may have heard of the law of attraction. You may have heard of the word visualization. You may have heard of the word manifesting. I call it seeing signs. So I'm a master at seeing positive signs. I am a master of creating coincidences. I have the world's most incredible luck. You want to know why? because I understand the science and the skill of visualization. I know that your brain, it is a gigantic detective machine. Your brain is a filter. Your brain is constantly looking for evidence. And that's good news. It's good news when you know how to use it to your advantage. Let me explain. So your brain has a system in it. Here's the technical term. It's called the reticular activating system. It is a network of neurons all up in here. And what is the job of the reticular activating system? It is a filter system. It's basically a system that allows certain information in your brain and it blocks out other information. And guess who programmed that filter? You did. And so did the people from your past. And so if you constantly feel like you're unlovable, guess what? Your reticular activating system is going through the day and it is going to point out every single piece of evidence that confirms that negative belief that you have.
And what we're going to talk a lot about today is we're going to talk about this principle that I believe. And the principle is this: profound personal and professional change starts with you. That's right. Profound personal and professional change starts with you. And change starts with you because the most effective change starts from the inside out. Okay? And so as you think about a behavior change or a thinking pattern change that you want to make, or some sort of goal or dream, I want you to take everything that I'm about to teach you and have that example in mind, okay? So that everything that I'm talking about isn't just stuff I'm doing in my life, isn't just stuff that you read about when you look at the research in terms of habits and manifesting, but that you actually walk away with takeaway that is specific to what you want to achieve, okay? So good. So you've dreamed with the lid off. You've written it into the comments. Now, let's start by letting me give you a hack. I'm going to share with you something that I'm working on right now, okay? So one of the things that I want to do is I want to drink less in my life. I have a habit, and I've had a habit for decades, of around 6 o'clock when I start cooking dinner, I typically will pour myself a drink. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I do as a ritual to kind of end the workday and ease into being, in the more personal part of my life. And as I've gotten older, as I've started to understand more about my health, I thought, I actually don't want to be doing that every night. And so I would make this sort of promise to myself that I wouldn't have a drink, and then 6:30 would roll around, and next thing you know, I am mindlessly walking over to the cabinet where the gin is, and I'm making a gin and tonic. And it's not that I feel that I have a problem. It's that I was having a problem getting a new habit to stick. And so here is one hack that is based in science that is going to help you make any new habit stick. And yes, this is relating to manifesting. But what is this little hack? Well, this little hack is something that taps into what's called your procedural memory, okay? And let me tell you how you use the hack. So with that thing, that behavior change, I saw some of you writing down that you want to make more money, you want to stop procrastinating, you want health goals. Here is a hack that you can use using your procedural memory to make a new habit stick. All you have to do is you need to close your eyes and picture yourself step by step by step, practicing the new behavior or thinking pattern. So in my case, this is what it looks like. I close my eyes and I think, okay, I'm in the kitchen. I turn to my left and I can see the red clock and I visualize it saying 6:30. I feel the pull of the cabinet where the gin is, but I
picture myself walking over to where the glasses are instead. And then I take a glass, and then I picture myself walking over to the fridge, and then I open up the fridge, and then I reach for the kombucha, and then I pull it out, and I grab a lime, and then I grab a soda water, I shut the fridge, and then I pour a kombucha, I pour a little soda water, I take the peeler, I peel the lime, so I get that neat little lime strip, and I see it twisting, and I see the little kind of, like when you twist citrus, it sort of like sprays that little stuff, and then I drop it into the glass, and I see myself picking it up, and I see myself sipping my mocktail. I don't even want the gin. This tastes delicious. You want to know something fascinating? Research that has been peer-reviewed shows that simply going through that procedure of the new habit or thinking pattern, step by step by step, by going step by step by step, you are locking in a new sequence in your procedural memory. And based on research, that one time that you do it makes it way more likely that when 6:30 rolls around, you are not going to drink the gin, you are going to make the mocktail. Now, why does this work? Well, the reason why this works is because you're using science to rehearse the new behavior or the new situation or the new thinking pattern and to encode it in your brain before you actually do it. And when you use your procedural memory to rehearse something that you want to have become a new habit or a new way of acting in your life, you're basically putting it in your long-term memory. Now, what is your procedural memory? Well, your procedural memory is the part of your brain that has stored all the motor skills, like writing, like picking up a glass and drinking, like walking. It is all stored in your procedural memory. The reason why you and I can walk without thinking about it, or talk, or skip, or brush our teeth is because we have rehearsed that sequence, that procedure, that series of events over and over and over again. And now it's locked into my brain, into my procedural memory. Now, here's what's really cool, everybody. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an event that you have closed your eyes and imagined and an event that you've actually done. And what's happening in your brain when I visualize myself making that mocktail step by step by step by step is I am making connections between the gaps at the end of the neurons in my body, the synapses, and every time I either imagine that sequence of events or I practice it, we're making that connection between neurons stronger and stronger and stronger. And so here's what's really cool. What I just told you is manifesting. Seriously. Manifesting done correctly is when you use your procedural memory as a tool to train your brain, your nervous system, your spirit to help you feel motivated and to help you do the work that actually changes your life. How cool is that? I want to be very clear about something. Manifesting gets a bad rap because of the law of attraction. But manifesting is not woo-woo at all. It's not a cheesy topic. Manifesting is not just think about something that you want and suddenly it'll magically appear. No. Manifesting is when you use your procedural memory and you visualize the step by step by step actions that you need to take in order to make your big goal or the thing that you want or the new habit to become a reality. You see, manifesting isn't the end, everybody. Manifesting is the bridge. It's the series of actions that you're going to take in order to have this new habit. And when you rehearse something and when you encode it in your procedural memory, what actually happens is because it's now something that your brain recognizes, the walking to the other cabinet, not where the gin is, the opening up the fridge and grabbing the kombucha instead of grabbing the gin in the cabinet. When you rehearse this over and over, you are lowering the limbic friction, the friction in your mind, the resistance that you feel. You are lowering that resistance, and that is how manifesting helps you achieve your goals. So what are the 4 steps to manifesting properly? Number 1, we've already done that. You got to give yourself permission to dream with the lid off. And for many of you, this is going to be the hardest part. Seriously. You have held yourself back for so long, you don't even allow yourself to dream. And here's the thing, you're allowed to want things. You're allowed to want more for your life. In fact, you're wired this way. And part of what you need to do is you got to give yourself permission to want things again. You know, I guarantee you that when some of you wrote down what you wanted, you shrunk it. You literally said, okay, I'm going to write down this little thing, but I'm going to make it really, really small because I'm worried that it's not going to happen. And so one of the things that I want you to do is I want you right now, dream with the lid off. If the manifesting that I'm teaching you removes the doubt, removes the fear, if it lowers the friction and the resistance that you feel to doing the work to get what you want, what is it that you dream of doing for real? Like I almost with you guys, I almost said, I'm going to launch one of the top podcasts in the world. I almost shrunk it down, everybody. But then I pushed through because I've been manifesting this. No, I'm launching the #1 female hosted podcast in the world, period. So what is it that you are interested in having? Like, don't shrink it down. Write down what you want, because this is step #1. And the reason why this is so important is because, you have a filter in your brain. You have a filter in your brain called the reticular activity system. And this filter works just like the Discover page on Instagram. So if you're ever on Instagram, and TikTok is the same way, there's the page where you can discover new accounts. And if you've ever noticed what Instagram shows you on that mosaic and what TikTok shows you when you're kind of looking for new things are accounts that are just like the accounts that you follow. And that changes in real time all the time. So right now, my Discover page has a lot of accounts with nails because I've been growing my nails out. It has a lot of home design accounts because my husband and I are building our dream home here in the United States in southern Vermont. It has a lot of motivational accounts. And so it is reflecting back what I'm already looking at. One of the reasons why it's important for you to allow yourself and give yourself permission to want the things that you want without limiting it is because when you limit it, the filter in your brain pays attention and it limits what you see. When you start to give yourself permission to dream with the lid off, to just let your desires flow through you, then check this out. The filter in your brain changes in real time, just like the Discover page in Instagram, and it'll start showing you more of what you want. It's freaking cool. Now, you can practice what I'm saying 2 ways. #1, there's a game that you can play that I call Find a Heart. Every single day, wake up and play this game where you're going to try to find a heart that is naturally occurring in the world around you. It could be a leaf, it could be a cloud, it could be a stain in your coffee. Tell your brain, show me a heart. And then look for hearts all day. And you'll be shocked because all of a sudden, you'll be walking past a building that you walk past every single day, and there, right on the side of the building, the coloration on the brick of the building, it is as plain as day. There is a freaking heart right there on the side of the building. You've missed it. You've walked past this building 1,000 times. It's been there the whole time. Why am I seeing it now? I'll tell you why. That discover page in your brain, the filter in your brain, you told it you wanted to see hearts. Just like I've started looking at nails. And now suddenly the filter is showing you what's important to you. That's how your brain works. So one way you can start to do this is look for hearts. The second thing that you can do is you can start your day every morning in your journaling practice by writing down 5 things that you want. That's it. 5 things that you want. What do you want? You want a purse? You want a new job? You want a loving relationship? You want to feel happy again? You want to have more fun in your life? You want to finally be able to do a handstand? You want to be a best-selling, whatever you want. It can be the same thing every single day, or it could be new things every day. Because what you're doing when you give yourself permission to dream and to let those desires flow through you again is now what we're doing is we are letting you start to lead with your dreams. Literally, you can lower the resistance by inverting this and letting the dreams flow through you. Every day, look for a heart, write down 5 things that you want, and you are well on your way to step 1 of learning how to manifest properly. And that is, let the desire lead. Let the dreams flow through you. And that way your mind will start paying attention. The second step I've already given you an example of when I talked about visualizing making a mocktail step by step by step by step, all the way down to peeling the lime and twisting it and that little juice going off of it. That type of step by step by step encoding in your procedural memory is step number 2. The thing that most of us get wrong about manifesting is that we have this big dream, like publishing a book or launching a podcast, and all you dream about is the end. That's it. You miss the bridge between where you are and the thing that you want. And so let's use another metaphor, everybody, okay? Let's use the metaphor of running a marathon. So a marathon is 26.2 miles. How many of you have on your bucket list? Someday it would be amazing to run and complete a marathon. That would be something pretty cool to do before I die. Now you may have a million excuses for why it's not going to happen, but just allow the dream to flow through you. Have you ever wanted to summit a mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro? Have you ever wanted to run a marathon, something like a 5K, doesn't matter. We're going to use this as a teaching tool. So let's say that your goal is to run a marathon, 26.2 miles, okay? The mistake that everybody makes is they literally visualize crossing the finish line. That's not how manifesting works. Manifesting, remember, is the bridge that's going to get you to the finish line. Manifesting is preparing you. It's like a training run. So what do you manifest? What do you visualize when you want to complete a marathon? You got to visualize the pain in the rear end stuff. You got to visualize running in the rain. Visualize your alarm going off at 5:30 in the morning. It's dark. It's cold. You don't want to get out of bed, but you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. And then you visualize yourself pulling on your tights and the dog is looking at you. And you visualize walking through a quiet apartment or house. And then you visualize opening up the front door and, it's raining. And you visualize that you don't want to go outside and maybe you'll skip the run, but then you visualize grabbing your raincoat and going out that door. And then you know what you visualize? You visualize yourself at mile 7 on a training run and your earbuds, the batteries die. And you just want to give up. But guess what? You keep running. That's the kind of stuff that you visualize. You visualize the hard, the annoying, the stuff you don't want to do. If you want to make more money, you better visualize staying in on the weekends and working on your business instead of blowing your cash at the bar. If you want to have a different relationship with your spouse, you should visualize going to counseling or listening to books about how to improve your relationship and working on yourself. Seriously, you gotta visualize the hard stuff, okay? That's step 2. The step by step, by step, by step, by step, the path, the bricks along the way. Now, step 3 of visualizing correctly. Feel what you are visualizing. That procedural memory, step by step, by step, by step. Feel it in your body. What does it feel like to do this? You know, what's interesting is research from UCLA says that, visualization works because we are activating the part of the brain that you use when you're actually doing those actions. So you are rehearsing it before you even do it. And according to research from UCLA, this is why manifesting is so powerful. Okay, everybody? So again, step number 1, you got to give yourself permission to dream. And you're going to start training your spirit to lead. And you're going to start training the filter in your brain, the RAS, to help you get what you want. And you're going to do that by A, looking for hearts every single day, play a little game. And B, you're going to start your day by writing down 5 things that you want, just as an exercise to learn how to let your desires flow through you. Step number 2 of manifesting the correct way is you visualize the bridge, brick by brick by brick by brick, visualizing the steps that you're going to take along the way. This is how you encode the behavior into your procedural memory and thereby reduce the friction and resistance that you feel to taking those steps. Step number 3, you got to feel it in your body. Feel it in your body. This taps into your nervous system, everybody. So as you're taking these actions that are really difficult, you want to take the actions. And, and I see this question, but why visualize the heavy stuff? I'll tell you why. Because the hard stuff is what you're avoiding. The hard stuff is where your doubt comes in. The really difficult things is where you come up with excuses and reasons not to do it. And so we're going to lower your resistance, your excuses, your fear, your anxiety, which raises your courage, your confidence, and your brain's ability to help you get moving. Because you're not going to change your life by simply thinking about what you want. You change your life by changing the actions that you take. And right now, the difficult, the hard, the heavy, the irritating, the annoying, you got a bazillion reasons for why you're not doing that stuff. And so we're going to use manifesting to lower your resistance internally to doing the hard, the heavy, the awful stuff. So when you feel yourself walking out that door at 5:45 in the morning with your rain jacket on and going for that run when you didn't feel like it, I also want you to feel proud of yourself for doing it, okay? That's what you do. When you visualize yourself staying in and working on your business plan, instead of spending money that you need to save or invest in your business, feel proud of yourself as you are rehearsing that in your mind. That's a really important step in this. And this is, your brain is visualizing you taking action, but now your body also is tapping into the pride that you feel when you do something that's really hard. Now, the 4th step of manifesting, do the work. All that stuff that you're visualizing, you got to use my 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and push yourself to take the actions. It's not sexy like The Secret of just thinking about this stuff and expecting it to come to you. You got to do the little things brick by brick by brick and take the actions that lay the groundwork for this change. And, here's the thing that's super cool about it. When you do this and you start practicing this skill and you use manifesting as a tool, you are training your mind, your body, and your spirit to align with what you want instead of resisting it and being afraid of it. And when you align your mind, body, and spirit with what you want, you will be naturally inspired and motivated and empowered to take the actions to walk toward it. That's why this works. You know, I have this saying about confidence that I've only recently kind of stumbled into as I've been digging into more research around the science of confidence and the skill of confidence. Because a lot of people think that confidence is a personality trait. It's not. It's actually a skill that you build through action. And a lot of people think confidence is a state of belief. It can be, but that's not where it begins. And so I say that confidence is the willingness to try. That's all that it is. Knowing that you may succeed or survive, but you'll still try. And to me, all those people that we admire most, that's what they're doing. They have the ability to tune into those instincts that are true for them. Because the fact is, there's only one you. That's it. And you matter because there's only one you, and there's only ever going to be one you. And your instincts and your experiences and your inner wisdom is a gift to the world. And every time that you tune it out because of the habit of hesitating or the habit of self-doubt or the habit of worrying or the habit of overthinking, you are robbing the world of that gift that you have to give to everybody. And you can use this simple, stupid, silly tool to train yourself to not only hear it, but also to develop the skill of courage to act on it.
Powerful. And is there any area of your life where you feel like you lack courage still?
You know, I'll admit it's kind of easy. I think we all kind of go through those moments where you feel like you're behind. And I think social media is both an incredible tool, and it can also be one of those triggers that makes you feel like, look at how many followers this guy has. And like, I'm like so tiny compared to this guy right here. Like, it's easy to use technology and social media not for inspiration, but actually as a way to bash yourself that you're not doing what other people are doing.
Comparison or whatever.
Yes. And so I think that I use the rule a lot for patience. I notice that my insecurity rises up because right now, you know, look, I did a ridiculous number of speeches last year. I travel way too much. I don't want my life to look like that. It's a champagne problem. I get it.
Yeah.
But I also have 3 kids in a marriage that I love, and I really feel depleted when I'm not with them. And so I'm practicing patience as I make an intentional pivot in the kind of business that I'm running so that I have more of a life that I want as well. So that's one area. You know, I don't feel insecure as much as, you know the term deliberate practice, right? And you know the 5-hour rule where...
Deliberate practice, is that from the Talent Code?
Well, the deliberate practice is actually a psychological principle.
I think it was in a book called The Talent Code, but yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a psychological principle that, and you know the 10,000-hour rule.
I mean, deliberate practice is in sports. Yeah,
so deliberate practice is this idea that, you could do 10,000 hours at anything and become an expert at it, but the way to do it faster is to do deliberate practice, which means you're practicing with the intention of improving, and there's a feedback loop.
Yeah, so you do 2,000 hours as opposed to 10,000.
Correct. Right. Like, for example, if you want to become an expert at guitar, learn scales. Don't just sit there for 10,000 hours and play the same song. Right. If you learn scales, you get the finger dexterity and the muscle memory and the neural pathway development. By the way. Yes, I saw your guitar over there. So hard. I saw your guitar. I always wanted to play guitar, but instead I forced my 3 children to learn.
That's good. You can just enjoy it. You just watch them.
Exactly.
My brother's, the number 1 jazz violinist in the world.
What?
Yeah. And so I grew up watching the most incredible,
Now, is he built like you, too?
He used to be even, more jacked. They used to call him the Incredible Hulk of violin because he was just
wow, snap the thing in half. As
he would. He would, slam it like Jimi Hendrix style, yeah. But now he's leaned up a bunch, actually, and so he's incredible. So I used to just be all awestruck by his gifts, and it was unbelievable, his skill. And so I learned guitar. I taught myself when I was 18 just because I was like, I have to know something, in terms
That's
of
pretty
music.
Cool.
I can barely, I'm like a hack, but, at least I can do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm kind of in this mode of improving myself. And I'll give you one more thing that I'm working on. So I kind of think about my life and my work in 3 buckets. So we got this bucket here, we got this bucket, and we got this bucket. And so when you think about your business or you think about your passion or you think about work, I think about, okay,
what do I need to do in terms of how much time and what actions do I need to take in order to develop the skills so that I can perform the work? Mm-hmm. So there's the deliberate practice that goes into practicing your skill and your
mastery.
And your competency. Mastery, so that when it comes time to actually deliver the work, whether that's selling or standing on a stage or writing a book or talking to people or selling real estate or whatever it is that may be your passion, deliver. This is the one I neglected last year. This bucket is, what are you doing to personally develop yourself so that you are the most capable, fulfilled, and satisfied human being, so that when you show up to do your competency and your skills and the delivery, that you as the human being are able to do that. Yeah. And so I've been spending a lot more time consuming content, reading books, watching, your incredible show, and learning from other people. And I think that one of the traps that we entrepreneurs get into is I was feeling last year anyway, like I was on a treadmill, and when I wasn't looking, somebody was coming by and turning up the speed. Sure. And I was only in this alley.
And increasing the hills, the bike, whatever.
Yes. And so, and if you're my age, you need like a diaper when somebody does that. You're on a treadmill and a leash to keep you attached to it. Exactly. So I've been focusing a lot on this, and it's been interesting because you and I were talking earlier too about you going to India and some of the stuff that you learned in terms of the different states to be in. And I use one where I pay attention to where I'm feeling depleted versus where I'm energized. And here's the thing. You can be doing things that are really hard that energize you. You can be doing things that are really scary that energize you. The same is true with things that deplete you. There are things in your life that are really easy for you. There are people that you hang out with, by the way, that you've been hanging out with for years, but they deplete you. And so I've been starting to become more deliberate about how I distance myself from things that deplete me and how I spend more time and energy either doing or pushing myself to do those things that actually energize me. And this gets back to your message around passion, right? And that, the art and the skill of building a life that is guided by the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.